Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dominic Peterson, aka Doug's on 503, talking all things Oregon football. If you're not following, if you're not subscribed already, go and smash those buttons below to join the Duck Zone family where we're always talking Oregon football. At Duck Zone 503, real simple, quick search on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow and connect with me and really lock in with the Duck Zone family. Quickest way to get the quickest updates directly from me. Really appreciate you guys for everybody locking in. And cheers to you guys, okay? In our Thursday episode, on the preview prediction episode, we were standing at about 390 subscribers. Well, guess what? I asked you guys to hit us around 400. I think at the time of this recording, we're standing at 402 subscribers. So big congrats on you guys, the 12 new subscribers. Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Anybody watching for the first time, welcome to the channel where we talk all things Oregon football. And yeah, hope you guys enjoy the content. Let's get into it. We're here on our Tuesday episode. Yes, Tuesday episode of a recap and analysis where we recap the game, analyze it, give our thoughts on last week's game. Last week, we had Oregon State win in comeback fashion over the Oregon Ducks, 38-34. Big game, as you know, big time rivalry game. And this game will go down as another classic in the Civil War. Number 21 taking down number 9. Big upset win for Oregon State in the series. Oregon State's starting to build their program. Jonathan Smith really starting to build his program the way he wants it. This game obviously didn't go the way I want it as a Duck fan, but, you know, on this channel, I'm not a homer. I give credit where it's due. The Beavers came out and, you know, never went away in this one. They never went away. They never gave up, and they went on a big run and ended up winning this game at the very end. In a game where Oregon led 31-10 at one point, the Beavers go on a 28-3 run right after that to win the game. I mean, crazy stuff. Obviously not how I want to see it. Big letdown. Ducks booted out of the Pac-12 championship. Tough loss. Call it what it is, right? It's to your rival. Your other rival goes ahead and wins, and they keep you out of the Pac-12 championship to just give you another blow. So it's just really tough. And then the way you lose to your rival, Oregon State and Washington, right? You know, close losses. Good games that could have went either way. It's just really tough loss. You know, Oregon certainly, you know, didn't help themselves, and, you know, they did help the Beavers a lot in this comeback win. They go 0 for 5 on 4th down. You know, everyone loves when it works. Everyone hates it when it doesn't and wants to blame the coach. I get it. But, you know, when you got special teams, a lot of miscues on special teams, a lot of punts getting blocked and stuff, fumbled, you know, that really hurt them on special teams as well. You got to go for it on 4th down, as well as Oregon coming in as one of the best 4th down teams in the country. You know, this is the second worst loss when leading in the game in the last 20 years for the Ducks. They led this game by 21 points. It's the second worst loss in program history, or in the last 20 years, so to speak. And then TCU, you know, everyone remembers that TCU Alamo Bowl where they led by 31. Vernon Adams goes down. TCU wins that game. So, as you know, second worst loss in the last 20 years. In my opinion, though, I gotta say, this one stings a little bit more than the TCU one. Okay. This is a loss where you had your starting quarterback in Bo Nix, where in that TCU game, if Vernon Adams was to stay in that game, I mean, Oregon probably wins that game 66-0. I mean, it was just total letdown. A lot on the line as well. I mean, you already had your CFP chances knocked out, and then you go ahead and just let your other rival get you out of the Pac-12 championship game. And actually, you know, it took them both, Washington and Beavers. I mean, if Washington would have lost that game against Washington State in the Apple Cup, the Ducks would be in. And, you know, they put themselves in the position with this loss, and that's what happened. You know, you had a lot on the line. Just sucks. The 2019 season, you know, you were kind of able to see that team put it together after a tough loss. You know, still win that Pac-12 championship, still go to that Rose Bowl, and you're kind of hoping to see that. But it was just kind of a repeat of last year, you know, with last year's team. And you start out really hot, you're on a roll, and you end up losing 2 out of the last 3 games again. And it's kind of shattering, not even going to play for the game, the Pac-12 championship game. As you know, Pac-12 doesn't have divisions this year. They just take the top 2 teams. If you didn't know that already, you're kind of late on that boat. That happened a while ago when they announced that. But yeah, top 2 teams are going to the Pac-12 this year, and that will be Utah and USC in a rematch. This also is a game where stars, prove once again. I'm a big, recruiting channel for the Ducks on this channel as well, getting a lot of recruit interviews, and we're looking forward to that in the off season coming up. As well, I guess what casuals would say, the off season. Over here, there's no off season. But yeah, just goes to show, recruiting stars do not matter. Okay, I'm gonna show this graphic right here, and just look at that. Look at the difference in talent on paper. And that's why games are played on the field and not on this white sheet of paper right here, or graphic, so to speak. But yeah, look at that, guys. So stars obviously do not matter. Good coaching, good players, and being hungry to win the game is what matters at the end of the day. Obviously, stars and recruiting is a big thing to do in college football, but just look at that. Oregon State won the game, and look at the difference in recruiting and talent on paper, right? Everything in this game that could have went wrong just went wrong, and I'm sighing as I say it because you had Oregon lose this game when they had it in the bag. Classic Couged it fashion. Are we the Washington State Cougars or what? Right? You had Washington, speaking of the Cougars, beat the Washington State Cougars to put Utah in the Pac-12 championship game against USC. You had a reported Oregon donor that booked an $11,000 suite in Las Vegas when Oregon was up 31-10. I mean, that is hilarious. Oregon fans, some of you guys just got to chill out, dude. Like, do not book the trip until the game is over. This is the reason why. It's tough to say, but you now lost to both of your rivals in the season, okay? Washington and Oregon State, okay? With losing to Oregon State and Washington this year, it's just the 3rd time since 2002 that's happened in the same season. So not good there. Oregon's usually pretty dominant against their rivals as of late. And, I think losing to both your rivals in the same year in this day and age is just unacceptable. There was a time as a Duck fan where you could go 6-6 and look at the schedule and go, okay, did we beat Washington? Did we beat Oregon State? It's a damn good season. Well, you can't do that anymore, okay? I mean, yeah, and especially when you're losing to these guys. I mean, it's kind of tough. But look, a lot to complain about, a lot to feel down about. I get it. We just had our OC, Kenny Dillingham, leave the team, and we'll get into that later on in the video. But look, man, there's still a lot of positive things on the Oregon side, okay? A lot of positive things, okay? Oregon literally just went 9-3. Very good season with a first-year head coach and a first-time pretty much play caller, offensive coordinator. And the guy just got a head coaching job. That's how well he did here at Oregon, Kenny Dillingham. Before the season, a lot of people had Oregon with maybe 7, maybe 8, 9, 10 wins. On this channel, we had the Ducks going 9-3. They had the chance to go 11-1 very easily. There's 7-point differential away if you combine the 2 losses from being 11-1. They just couldn't get it done in those close games against very good teams at that. Okay, it's not like they lost to Colorado or something, right? They handled business against the teams they needed to handle business about, but they just couldn't beat their rivals, which were pretty good teams. And then they lost to Georgia, which is the number 1 team in the country. So, I'm not disappointed here. I'm not sitting here thinking Lanning needs to be fired and this person sucks and this. I think it was a first-year head coach who had questionable play calls in big games that will learn from this. Okay, this was bound to happen. You learn as you go. Okay, that's what experience is all about. Okay, we've seen from the hires he's made, okay, that he can make really, really good, precise hires for what he's trying to do here at Oregon. And I believe it. I believe Oregon is in a very good direction. I'm excited, very excited to see what this what this team looks like in year 2 with the transfer portal, with how recruits and transfers have seen Oregon play this year. And I think people are excited about where Oregon is heading. Okay, guys, if they handle business against Washington, they handle business against Oregon State. They don't let a comeback win. They don't allow as many explosive plays. They're very easily locked up in a college football playoff spot. Very easily. I mean, the USC has a very clear chance to make it into the college football playoff if they win out. So I really like where this program is headed. I'm very excited to see who the new offensive coordinator will be. According to certain reports, I think Lanning already has his guy locked up. I don't know. At the time of this recording, he could be, or when this is put out, excuse me, the guy could be hired, our new offensive coordinator. But certain reports say that. We'll talk about the offensive coordinator news in a bit in this video. We'll talk about the punch later on in this video. As of right now, I kind of just want to talk about this game. Sticking on a positive note, another positive note, it's really, really good to see Chase Cota return. Shout out Chase Cota and give a really good performance in this game. He had 9 catches, 136 yards, and a touchdown. Shout out Chase Cota, man. Shout out the Cota family. Thank you for a great year at Oregon, man. All right. So let's get into this game. Let's break it down. Oregon goes 0-5 on 4th down. So that's the biggest stat that stood out to me. Okay. When you try to go for it, especially in your own territory a lot, it's never good, including twice in the 4th quarter and that big comeback run. One failed attempt that led for a go-ahead score for Oregon State there, and then the other one prevented Oregon from taking a late lead. Very, very tough. Very, very tough. But I get it. Dan Lanning himself said, when you run the ball that well, you have a good O-line, and you're one of the best teams statistically all year. Converting 4th downs, you go ahead and go for it. And I don't blame him. I mean, Oregon was very good on 4th down all year. Now everybody was cheering when he would convert. Now we're on this other side of things on the last 2 big games of the year, pretty much, and just hasn't went your way. Probably some things to think about, right? When you roll the dice and all this heat comes. If you continue to do this, you might want to learn from your mistakes. Everyone, they want to give, the coaching. I've seen a lot of flack online, guys. You guys really need to chill out because of the decisions that were made. But, look, 73% conversion rate on 4th down, number 1 in the Pac-12. You had a good O-line, good rushing attack to get those 4th downs converted. I understand the decision, but when you roll the dice, like I said, it doesn't go your way, the heat is going to come. But, I think a lot of that heat are coming from people who are casuals, man. I'm just going to say it, dude. Like, are people that don't understand, statistics and probability on a football field. So I really wouldn't look too much into it. I think these are smart coaches. I think that was the right call. And I think we'd all be having very different conversation if 4th downs were converted in the Washington and Oregon State games. Special teams, another thing. I think that's a huge thing you got to talk about in this game, right? That just absolutely killed Oregon in this game. They led 34-17 at this point. Oregon State returned a kickoff for 48 yards with a 15-yard face mask penalty that gave the Beavers a 1st down at Oregon's 36-yard line. Big penalty or a big special team killer there, giving the Oregon State Beavers big momentum when you're up in the game. You had one punt blocked in this game. You had one punt fumbled at the 2-yard line in the 4th quarter. That was absolutely killer. Absolutely killer, man. When you seen that, when it fumbled, I was just like, oh man. I knew it was over at that point. Oregon State quarterback Ben Gulbranson, absolutely awful performance. 6 of 13, 60 yards and 2 touchdowns, but he got the most important stat, which is a win. That's right, baby. He had 6 completions, 60 yards, and 2 interceptions, and the boy comes out with a win. Man, shout out Ben Gulbranson. Oh, man, you better be thinking your O-line and your running backs because let me tell you, man, Oregon couldn't stop the run for a damn thing. 260 yards rushing for Oregon State. Oregon had 3 turnovers, and, you beat yourself with penalties if you're the Ducks. 7 penalties for 58 yards when the Beavers had only 3 penalties. So, coming in as the more talented team, coming in as the higher ranked team, half a stadium when you played in the Atlanta Dome, you played in these big stadiums already, you played in sold out Autzons, you played in front of College Game Day. It's just really disappointing performance. In a game where the opposing quarterback has 6 completions, 2 interceptions, under 100 passing yards, you lose. And it's just insane. I mean, Washington was able to pick you apart on the pass. I mean, now you're getting picked apart by Oregon State on the run game. And it's just defensively, there needs to be changes, okay? And I don't think it needs to be coaching. I think all coaches, when they come into a program, they need about 2 to 3 years to really get the guys they want. Realistically, 4 to 5. But if you really want to be impatient with them, I'd say at least 2 to 3 years. Give them some 2 to 3 years. Let the transfer portal age. They can easily get players they want and here of their style. They can, we've seen these guys can recruit on this staff, no doubt. So let's just see how this defense looks in 2, 3, maybe even 4 years before we really start trying to fire coaches here. Tosh Lupoi, he's a big name. Everybody's chanting out for the defense. Look, they inherited guys that Mario Cristobal came in and what Mario Cristobal wanted to run on defense. This is a whole new staff. They're working with what they got. Let them get the players they want, okay? All right, let's recap my 3 keys to the game. As you know, in the Thursday episodes, we do our preview and predictions, and I give you my 3 keys of the game. Let's go ahead and recap them real quick. We got number 1, Bucky Irving rushed for over 100-plus yards. Well, that certainly didn't happen. He only had 13 carries with 52 yards, which kind of weird. I think Noah Whittington, running the ball really well, kind of, had Bucky sitting on the sideline, but only 13 carries. Really questionable with unhealthy Bo Nix. I really thought the run game would be a definite thing that Oregon relied on. I think the Beavers did also an excellent job at really stuffing what Oregon was trying to do in the run. I think also you really see in the Kenny Dillingham offense, you're going to need a mobile quarterback if you want to win games, because when I'm not saying Bo Nix played bad or anything, he played really well, but man, it was tough for Oregon to run the ball without a running quarterback, because a lot of the things was read options and misdirections in the Kenny Dillingham offense and the run offense, especially. And when you tried power, it just against a good run defense like Georgia, Oregon State, it just never materialized for you. Number 2, I had control your emotions. Okay, this is actually funny. For the most part, it was a pretty clean game as far as, emotions wise. But after the game, you had DJ Johnson punching a fan after the game, and we'll touch on that a bit later. They'll have their own little segment there. But man, really not good to see there. Not really control your emotions there. So obviously a no. And I would have passed that. I would have definitely said, yeah, there was nobody really got kicked out for their emotions or anything like that. Until you seen that clip after the game. But we'll talk about that later. Number 3, I had get pressure on the quarterback. Let's get like 3+ sacks. I mean, I really thought this Oregon D line could really get pressure against this Oregon O line. I mean, if we're talking about talent, we're talking about the linebackers that Oregon has that they can send towards the quarterback, and it just really never materialized. They pretty much Oregon State really never passed the ball pretty much to get those sacks to start off, and they just ran it down Oregon's throat. And when Gulbranson did drop back to pass, I mean, it wasn't like Oregon was really getting pressure anyways. But when you only pass it for what was it, 13 times, it's tough to get 3 sacks out of those. So yeah, that wasn't happening either.